I'm Jim Collison and live from the Gallup studios here in Omaha, Nebraska. This is Gallup's Theme Thursday, Season 5, recorded on July 18th, 2019. Theme Thursday is a Gallup webcast series that dives deep into the CliftonStrengths themes, one theme at a time, and today's theme is belief. If you're joining us live, we'd love to have you in our chat room. If you have questions after the fact, you can send us an email, coaching@gallup.com. Maika Leibbrandt is our host today. She's a workplace consultant here at Gallup. And Maika, it's always great to see you on Thursdays. Welcome to another Theme Thursday.
Oh, thanks, Jim. It's the best day of my week. You know, the CliftonStrengths at the top of our profile really are the most powerful. These are the themes that represent your unique makeup of potential. And this season, we're diving into all 34 of them to help people not understand whether they're talented, but how they are uniquely talented. Your greatest chance of success, whether you're thinking about work or home or life in general, lies in strengthening what you naturally do best, understanding that, and doing more of it. So if you possess a great deal of belief, if it's at the top of your profile, or if you care about somebody who does, today's podcast is for you.
So what does it mean to have belief at my top, kind of one of my top talent themes?
It means you're led by a certain set or specific core values that don't tend to change and that do provide a great deal of direction and purpose to what you choose to do and how you live your life.
And how might people with a dominant belief notice this in their life? What are some examples?
You know, there's probably something in your life that you know has an absolute right-wrong. We don't prescribe whether this is political or faith or even just something like how to treat the environment. But whatever it is within you, there is something, and it might not be everything where you feel this, but there is something that feels like it has a clear definition of what is right and what is not. When specific issues or choices are presented, you might feel a certainty about which way to go. Perhaps you even think about yourself as a conduit or a spokesperson or a representative for a specific cause, idea, or way of being. Your belief is going to show up in different ways depending on different themes that you have, but it all comes back to how you choose to spend your time and to what you really do.
What potential blind spots, and this is a new section in our All 34 report that gives us some ideas of some things to kind of watch for. What kind of blind spots might hold people, hold people back with belief?
Yeah. So, and again, when we talk about blind spots, it's not a diagnosis. There's no scientific guarantee that you're going to experience these blind spots, but it is our responsibility to understand how the theme might get in its own way, or how it might be perceived by others. With belief, it's possible to see other people through your lens of your own values. And in doing that, it's possible to miss the individuality that other people bring. So I think it's important to take stock of the perception that you have of other people. When you feel judgy, get curious. Anytime you feel a wall being put up, replace that wall with a question. Invite understanding instead of quick criticism. If your belief perhaps is still just that sense or a spidey sense or a feeling rather than something that you've explored yourself, it might come across as a dam or a log jam. We took our kids to a children's museum here last weekend, and there was this really cool exhibit about water flow throughout the earth, and it used real water, and it sprinkled down from these pretend clouds, and then it had a river that it flowed into, and you could choose whether you were going to stop that river with a beaver dam or a sunken ship or a boulder. And I think about every single one of those could be what results when belief feels like their values are being confronted. It could just be like a shut down piece, just say no. Instead, you could do the hard work of exploring and naming your own values and then get out in front of them by spending time on projects that align with your external work with your internal mission, or even by understanding these are the things that I'm always going to stand for. These are the things that I think are right. Consequently, these are the things that I won't stand for that I think are wrong. And through that own awareness with yourself, you can have stronger partnerships where that belief ends up being really a driving force that drives more than just yourself forward, but benefits your team as well.
Speaking of strong partnerships, my wife Sarah has belief very, very high in her top five, and I misunderstood by me for a lot of years, and I didn't quite know how to use it, how to see it. You talked about that judgy, that kind of judgy word, and that can be a really powerful intuition strength when we think about what it can do for a team. So whether that team is a married couple or is at work, what role does belief play on a team?
So belief falls into that executing domain, and executing is about doing. Belief might seem more like a feeling or an intuition, but it's about feeling out what is happening or feeling out what you're going to do. Your values drive what you take action on when you have high belief, what becomes a priority. So within a team, you could be the conscience of the group. What should we take on that's really right to do? Or even helping that group think about, as we progress forward, what are our non-negotiables? To compare or contrast belief to other executing themes, belief might say, I do this because it fits what I know is right. Whereas responsibility would say, I do this because it's right to keep my promises. These two themes show up together very often. In fact, the theme that you'll see most often show up with belief is responsibility. So I want to do a bit of a dance with belief and responsibility, compare and contrast here. Belief and no responsibility probably sounds like, regardless of the commitments that we have, this is what I stand for. Responsibility with no belief might sound like, I stand for this because people are counting on me to fulfill what I've said I would do. Both of them together might say, I am going to say yes to the tasks because they align with my core values, or a core value of mine is to honor my commitments. You can see there's a lot of overlap here. Again, I think responsibility on its own is about fulfilling what you say you will do. Belief is about those core values. They could live together. They could also live separately within a person. To compare belief and consistency, another executing theme, belief might say the things I can get fired up about are unchanging. Whereas consistency would say the habits that work for me to get stuff done are unchanging or not likely to change. In partnership, belief can be the voice of a deeper purpose, the guide who helps align a task toward a mission. Belief can protect what the team says yes to. A yes to something is also a no to something else. So it's important to I think, spend our yeses wisely. I would also add that belief could go under the radar until activated. It's not an influencing theme like command or self-assurance that are constantly scanning and thinking about where are they needed and how do they respond. Belief really fires up when it's hit.
Any clues or advice on communicating well with belief?
Ask the people what they believe is important. Give them space to sort through it. Maybe they take this assessment and they realize, wow, I've got this thing called belief. I have no idea what that means. So they might need to think, but they will value the clarity and the permission to really sort and prioritize. Follow up with them once you've learned what it is they value. Know what they care about and stay curious about it. I would also say be brave enough to share your non-negotiables. If you don't have belief, it doesn't mean you don't have values. It just means they're not tied to your task list like a spinal tap quite as much as they are with belief. So I think it's important, regardless of where belief falls in your profile, that you share with people who have high belief what you really care about. And get curious about theirs. I would also say there's a coaching skill of using some of your clients' language. So pick up on some of the words that they tend to value and see if you can use them back, even if it's just through curiosity by saying, hey, and notice you've said that a couple times. What does that really mean to you? Mirror it back to them when it's appropriate.
Maika, in my case, I actually found trusting that belief was one of those things that kind of led to helping in the communication, just actually trusting it. How else might we inspire or motivate someone with belief?
We should really just say trust it for all 34 of these, Jim. That was really cool.
Yeah.
I would say challenge them to put their values into words. Ask them questions that are going to help them sort to the meaning or the mission or sort of the underlying purpose of why we're doing what we're doing. give them the chance to select their priorities. Ask them questions like, hey, what are you noticing? Maybe this gets to trust. What do you think we should do? Remember that belief is a little bit of that intuition. It's intuition toward execution, but it's still kind of a gut experience. So just get curious about what they're sensing.
What can belief do to practice this on a daily basis? We talked a little bit about this in the mid-show of just kind of using these in success. How can they use this?
Practice your must-do goals. So you might do this every day, maybe you do this every week, maybe you do it every month. But if you have high belief and you're feeling somehow out of alignment, it's likely that you are out of alignment. So instead of starting with what's outstanding, start with what's standing out. Give yourself permission to focus on the most important things instead of just the unfinished things. And maybe you do that in addition to finishing your tying up your loose ends. But think about writing what's most important today, what's most important this week, this month, or this quarter. In the 34 report, it offers the specific advice. It says, try to keep an appropriate balance between work and personal life. I almost feel like that's difficult if at best and dated at worst. So what we really mean is not work less. What we mean is align your work to what you value. I think that's an important distinction that comes from a lot of research that we're learning now about what's important to people. Today's workforce doesn't want a 9-to-5 that they then leave. We want purpose, and we think about not just a job, but really a life.
Yeah, I heard that word we've used, integrate those two together in full practice. And really, I think someone with high belief wants to be the same at work and at home and have that same belief structure that exists there. Speaking of practice, we can all kind of do this, whether we have belief high or not. So we've been spending some time on this idea of talent mindfulness. Maika, so walk us through that.
So it is time for another exercise in talent mindfulness. You can follow up with us online, #talent-mindfulness. This is for anyone, regardless of whether belief is in your top 5 or your top 10 or anywhere in your profile. You might hear tones of belief, but it's not prescriptive to the theme. It's just a practice. So this will take us to the end of our podcast, about 3 to 5 minutes. Let's dive in right now. Just let go of anything you might be physically hanging on to. If you're sitting in a chair, get comfortable, get all your wiggles out. Maybe really feel the weight of your body in that chair. If you're driving, don't do this. But here we're gonna go into this together. I'd like you to absorb and really inhale all your day and all of your thoughts. Take that deep inhale in. And then squeeze out all that clutter. Exhale, let it all out. Here we are with a fresh, clean slate to get in touch with our talents. So let's breathe in fresh. Exhale, clean. Today, I invite you to focus on one single word. You get to choose it, a word that will guide you through the rest of your day and maybe spill into tomorrow or to next week. You might choose a word right now that aligns with your priorities, your values, maybe an aspiration that you have. Think of one word that can lead you through the rest of your day, a word that could serve as your safari guide. If you can't think of one right now, or it's getting to be too much work, it's bringing you out of this space to come up with a word, I invite you to borrow mine. That'll be the word hope, HOPE. Close your eyes if you're comfortable, or if you're not, you can look down past your nose to a single spot right in front of you. I'd like you to see the whole word floating around in your brain. Spell that word in your mind. Imagine how it feels in your mouth if you were to speak that word out loud. In your mind's eye, think of that word floating in the air around your head after you've spoken it. And imagine what that word sounds like when someone you love says it out loud. Imagine that word going back in through your ears, into your brain. And now it's back in your brain. It's floating around, mixing and mingling with the rest of your thoughts. That word is going to land on the inside of your brain, right at the front, right behind your forehead, and settle in. You'll carry this word with you for the rest of today until it no longer serves you. Let that word be your focus. Let it be your guide. You are in charge. Now let's come back together.
Maika, for some of us, defining, we talk a little bit about these beliefs, values is a word that we've thrown around, and defining those. What if we have trouble with that? Not all of us are, I'm kind of a all shades of gray kind of guy, and sometimes, things are situational. What if I'm struggling with that?
Well, I think part of it is thinking, if you can replay this and ask yourself, what are those times where I would have gone to extreme lengths to make a point? Or what are the causes that I would always stand up for? If everything else was stripped, what would I need to have in my life? Another really helpful tool is Gallup has this set of values cards. They're not meant to be exhaustive of every value in the world, but they are a deck of cards that you can sort through and think about sorting to your top 5 most non-negotiable values. I've done this in a couple of our CliftonStrengths sessions. There's a leadership or a management session around CliftonStrengths where we ask people to do it. It's also included in our some of our certification courses or our accelerated strengths coaching course. And I was looking back at my notebook. I wish I had it right here. I have my original learning journal from the first time that I taught the ASC, Accelerated Strengths Coaching. And I've used that same one every single time because I like the notes. I add sticky notes. It's dog-eared. It's loved. It's highlighted. And I notice that every time I ask a class of people to go through that values card sort and actually do the exercise, I do it with them. And so I've got a different sticky note for every single time I've done it. And we're talking about upwards of 5 or 6 years now. And there's always been 3 out of 5 that have remained unchanging. The other 2 aren't unimportant. In the moment, they were non-negotiable. They tell a really important story. But being able to look back at those, I think for me at least, serves as a really good filter when I'm thinking about that idea of, a yes to something is also a no to something. Or a no frees you up for a better yes. And I'll use those values as just my own personal sort of gatekeeper to think about, what am I doing every day? Now, I do have belief number 10, so that also helps, but it might be a tool that you want to look into. You can always get those or any of our other great resources at shop.gallup.com.
Maika, anything else you'd add before we go?
No, thanks for doing this.
Yeah, no, super good. Some great questions in the chat. We'll use a little bit of time in the post show to answer those, but we'll remind everyone to take full advantages of all the resources we have available at the Gallup Strengths Center. Just gallupstrengthscenter.com. You can send us your questions. If you're listening to the recorded version, you can still chat with us. Send us an email, coaching@gallup.com. You can also catch the recorded audio and video of this program as well as all the past ones. Maybe this is the first one you listen to. And we have 4 other seasons of Belief as well. We'd love to have you listen to them either on YouTube or download them as a podcast. They're available for you as well. Head out to our coaches blog, coaching.gallup.com. If it's after September, or maybe this is after October of 2019, you'll want to go to gallup.com/CliftonStrengths. We're excited about that change coming as well. If you're interested in becoming a Gallup certified strengths coach or take any training that's available from us, head out to our courses page. That's really easy. It's just courses.gallup.com. If you want to sign up for these webcasts and join us live, and everybody in the chat room, we love the chat room. We'd love to have you out here as well. You can see a complete list of everything we do at our Eventbrite page. Go to gallup.eventbrite, B-R-I-T-E, eventbrite.com. And join us in our Facebook group. We'd love to hear about how you're deploying, using, experiencing this idea of #talent-mindfulness. as we're doing it together. And join us on the Facebook group, facebook.com/groups/called-to-coach, all one word. About 13,000 of us out there. So we'd love to have you in that as well. Thanks for joining us today. We'll do a little bit of post show. With that, we'll say goodbye, everybody.